Have you ever wondered if a single passage from the Bible could transform your financial life? Not through superstition or magic, but through active, living faith. For 30 days, I declared Psalm 23 not as a ritual, but as a daily declaration of trust in God. And everything changed. In this video, you're going to learn how one of the most misunderstood psalms, often read at funerals, is actually a divine code for provision, peace, and breakthrough. If you're ready to stop chasing money and start walking with purpose, stay with me until the end. This isn't motivation. This is spiritual strategy. Welcome to Messiah Speaks, where faith meets action and the Word becomes your daily guide. Let's begin. Most people don't know this, but the Bible doesn't only comfort, it activates. Psalm 23 is a spiritual key that has been read at funerals, yet it's truly a code for living, for provision, for abundance in the middle of chaos. I'm not talking about magic. I'm talking about applied faith and what happens when you choose to pray, trust, and act. Before we continue, I need to ask you something. Only 5% of the people who watch this channel are subscribed. That means thousands are being blessed, but not fully unlocking what they could receive. If you haven't subscribed yet, do it today. One click is free, and it helps this message reach more people. Today, I want to invite you to take on a different kind of challenge. For the next 30 days, pray. Not just prayers out of habit. Pray for real. Open your heart with honesty before God. And after praying, declare Psalm 23. Do it with conviction, like someone who believes that God hears and responds. Because He does, even though He already knows what you need. Declaring the psalm is aligning your spirit with the truth of His word. Say it in faith. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. Don't say it like you're just repeating something. Say it like you're choosing to trust. Do this for 30 days. Pray with intention. Declare with faith. And watch what God can do when you choose to walk with Him instead of chasing after money. Many people believe their financial problem is their job, their salary, or the economy. But the Bible shows us something deeper. The real obstacle is in how we think and believe. It's an invisible battle that determines whether we move forward or stay stuck. And what wins in that battle is not strength, it's faith. Because the righteous will live by faith. David didn't write Psalm 23 from a palace. He wrote it from the valley. In that dark place, surrounded by enemies and lack, he declared, "The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want." That wasn't an observation, it was a conviction. It didn't depend on what he saw, but on what he believed. And that kind of faith was the key that unlocked provision in the middle of chaos. When you declare those words, you're not just repeating an empty prayer. You are activating an eternal truth over your life. You are telling heaven and hell, I have a shepherd. I am not alone. I have provision even when I don't see it with my eyes. That is the kind of faith that moves the hand of God. It's trust, not magic. It's relationship, not superstition. That's why I want to invite you to a special challenge. This is not a ritual, and it's not a formula. It's a commitment. 30 days of sincere prayer. Every morning and every night, talk to the Lord. Present your needs before Him. And at the end of your prayer, declare Psalm 23. Do it as an act of trust. As a proclamation of faith. As a child who believes in the goodness of their Father. Prayer is our direct connection to heaven. And when we pray, something moves. God already knows our needs, but He longs to hear from us, because love is expressed through relationship, through words, through presence. You were not created to carry your burdens alone. You were designed to walk with God, step by step, day by day. Throughout history, the men and women who changed the world were people of prayer. Abraham prayed, David prayed, Jesus Himself prayed. Not because they lacked power, but because they knew all power comes from heaven. And if today you're tired, confused, or drowning in debt, start where they started. by speaking to God. This is your moment to regain spiritual control of your life. Debt does not rule your mind. Lack does not define your future. Your story doesn't end here. Today, you can rise up, declare your faith, and begin a new chapter. The first step is not financial, it is spiritual. And it begins with a prayer. Asterisk, and I want you to seal this moment right now with a prophetic declaration. Write this phrase in the comments. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. It's not just a Bible verse, it's your position in the kingdom. Write it with faith, like planting a flag on promised land. Because this phrase will not just be read, it will be lived. And you will see your provision begin to move. Also, share this video with someone who needs to hear this today. Maybe a family member, a friend, someone who feels like there's no way out. This word could be the key to a new season in their life. And if you haven't subscribed to Messiah Speaks yet, do it now. Only 5% of those who watch are subscribed. And that can change today with one click. Many people pray for abundance, but live in disorder. They want a life of provision, but don't even know how much they earn or owe. God does not multiply chaos, He honors order. In Genesis, before creating, God brought order. And in your life, it won't be any different. Before new provision comes, new organization must come. When David ruled, he didn't just worship. Counted soldiers, made plans, organized the temple. Order was part of his worship. And you? Are you ready to receive more, or would you keep losing it due to lack of control? Order is not just about numbers, it's about direction. And where there is direction, there is blessing. In Proverbs 27-23 it says, "Be diligent to know the state of your flocks, and attend to your herds." In ancient times, sheep were wealth. Today, they are your income, your resources, your skills. If you don't know where your money is going, you won't know where to invest. And if you don't have control, money will control you. So here's the first practical task I propose. Take a notebook or open a spreadsheet and honestly write down all your income and all your expenses. Leave nothing out. Do it as a spiritual act. Because yes, organizing your finances is also an act of faith. It's not a lack of spirituality, it's practical obedience. You might discover that what you lack is not money, but management. That what's choking you is not the amount, but confusion. An organized mind makes better decisions. A peaceful heart can hear God more clearly. And an organized economy becomes fertile ground for multiplication. Jesus taught that whoever is faithful in little will be put over much. But that faithfulness begins in the hidden places, in your schedule, your wallet, your planning. If there's no order in the small things, there will be no structure to sustain the big things. And what's big, without a foundation, collapses. Do it this week. Set aside 30 minutes each day and review everything. Pray over your decisions. Ask God for guidance before spending. You'll see peace arrive often before the money does. Because when you bring order to your house, God visits your table. And what seemed impossible starts to become manageable. This is not just about administration, it's a spiritual battle. Because the enemy wants you confused, anxious, lost. But when you take authority over your finances and say, "I'm in charge here, under the government of heaven," everything changes. Your home becomes an altar, and your numbers become a testimony. And if you need help taking these steps, here's what I invite you to do. Instead of offering you a product to buy, I invite you to write in the comments what step you're going to take today. Whether it's praying more, tracking your finances, or making a decision you've been putting off. Because change begins with a simple action of faith. Psalm 23 says, "Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil." That is not religious poetry. It is a radical declaration of trust in the darkest moments. When everything feels dark, when there's no way out, that's when your faith speaks the loudest. And that's the kind of faith God honors. David wrote this psalm in a moment of danger. He was being pursued, under threat. He wasn't in a palace, he was on the run. And even so, he said, I shall not want. Why? Because he understood that provision doesn't come from circumstance. It comes from the shepherd. When the Lord leads, fear loses power. Fear paralyzes, distorts, imprisons. But faith moves, clarifies, opens doors. It's not about denying reality. It's about declaring who your God is in the middle of reality. Faith is not evasion. Faith is alignment. And when you align your heart with heaven, the impossible becomes possible. In Hebrews 11:6, it says, without faith, it is impossible to please God. But it's also impossible to move forward without faith. Because every step implies risk. Every new business, every financial goal, even getting out of debt, requires faith. Because even getting out of debt means believing that something new is possible. And that possibility is activated from within. I invite you to pay attention to your language. What are you declaring about your finances, about your future, about your business? Because your words reflect your faith, and your faith determines your direction. Declare promises, even if you don't see them yet. Proclaim life, even in the midst of chaos. That is biblical faith, seeing with the eyes of the Spirit. I once met a woman who was even afraid to open her bank account. She felt defeated before even starting. But when she decided to make Psalm 23 her daily prayer, something changed. Not magically, but internally. Her confidence grew. Her anxiety decreased. And with that, her financial creativity awakened. That inner change led to outer fruit. She managed to renegotiate her debts. She found an extra income by selling homemade cakes. And little by little, her finances came back to life. It all began with one daily prayer. Lord, you are my shepherd. I shall not want. It wasn't a ritual. It was a relationship with the God who provides. That's why you should never underestimate the power of a sincere prayer. Talk to God. Tell him your pain. Present your lack to him. He is not shocked by your mistakes. He doesn't distance himself because of your failures. On the contrary, he draws near to the brokenhearted, to those who acknowledge their need. And in that place of humility, faith is born. Take time every day to talk to God about your finances. Not with complaints, but with trust. Not with desperation, but with expectation. And as you declare Psalm 23, remember, this is not a magic formula. It's a living promise. An act of surrender, but also a declaration of spiritual conquest. And if you're going through a hard time, don't face it alone. Let us pray for you. Write your name and your prayer request in the comments. No matter how big or small your need is, Messiah Speaks is a faith community. And we want to lift your arms in prayer. Together, we will see God move. Many people pray, but nothing changes in their lives. They expect God to do everything while they continue in the same habits, the same relationships, the same decisions. But faith is not passivity. James 2:17 says, faith without works is dead. If you want transformation, you also need to take action. God opens doors, but he won't walk through them for you. He gives ideas, but he won't execute them for you. The miracle often waits for a simple action on your part. Like Peter, who had to cast his net one more time. Like the widow who had to go out and collect empty jars. The move of God always responds to a step of faith. I knew a man who was unemployed for months. He prayed, he fasted, but he never updated his resume, never learned anything new. One day, he realized that prayer without action was incomplete. He signed up for a free course, and weeks later, he landed a job that exceeded all his expectations. God honors practical obedience. Not everything will happen immediately, but every step counts. Maybe today, what you need is not a big door to open, but simply to take the first step, cutting an unnecessary expense, offering a service, Organizing your finances knocking on a door. That's faith with action. That's walking with God. In Proverbs 16:3 it says, "Commit your works to the Lord, and your thoughts will be established." Did you catch that? It doesn't say your dreams, it says your works. God blesses what you do, not just what you desire. And many times, the strategy is already in front of you, but you don't see it because you haven't acted. If God gave you a talent, use it. If you have an idea, write it down. If you received a word, walk in it. Opportunities don't appear while you sit and wait. They appear while you walk, just like the people of Israel. The Red Sea didn't open until they decided to move forward. It's natural to feel fear, but don't let fear paralyze you. Remember the testimony we shared, Manuel, the stonemason who overcame addiction and now manages 5 properties. What changed? His faith, yes, but also his decisions. He built homes with his own hands, and God gave him favor. So today, what practical decision can you take? Maybe it's canceling a subscription you don't use. Maybe it's selling something you no longer need. Maybe it's learning something that helps you grow. Sometimes you don't need a revolution, just one small step to activate a big transformation. God blesses. Purposeful action. Write this faith statement in your journal. Today, I choose to act with divine direction. And pray that every one of your steps is guided by the Holy Spirit. Because when your steps align with His will, no debt can stand, no door remains shut. The right action opens the heavens. And if you want to take a firmer step forward, consider becoming part of our faith community. Here at Messiah Speaks, we're building more than a channel, we're building a space of support, prayer, and spiritual growth. If you feel that calling, you are welcome to walk this path with us. Many people read Psalm 23 as beautiful poetry or something only meant for funerals. But those who understand it with their heart discover a strategy for life. Each verse reveals a spiritual truth that transforms your mindset, your decisions, and your finances. It's not just comfort. It's a guide to prosperity. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. That is a declaration of absolute trust. It doesn't depend on salary, country, or economy. It's a statement that God provides. When you truly believe it, you stop running in fear and start walking with purpose. That's where provision begins to follow you. He makes me lie down in green pastures. This speaks of peace, of mental rest, of guidance in a world full of stress and chaos. God promises to lead you to safe places. But that calm isn't laziness, it's wisdom. The best decisions are born out of the rest that comes from faith. He restores my soul. This is emotional healing. You cannot prosper with a wounded soul. A healthy soul attracts healthy relationships, wise decisions, and new paths. If you're emotionally tired today, come back to the Shepherd. He not only provides resources, He provides internal healing. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. This verse gives strength for difficult days. It's the certainty that even in lack, in debt, in pain, God is with you. What surrounds you does not determine your destiny. What you believe and who you follow, that's what makes the difference. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. This is the promise of honor. God not only lifts you up, He does it in front of those who once looked down on you. To prosper with humility, with grace, with dignity, not to compete, but to testify that God exalts the humble. My cup overflows. That is the image of abundance. Not the kind born out of greed, but out of purpose. When you walk with God, He gives you more than what you need, so you can bless others. That's true prosperity. To have for yourself and also to give. To be a channel, not a container. Surely, goodness and mercy shall follow me. This isn't luck, it's consequence. Living in obedience, faith, and purpose attracts favor. And that favor is activated by spiritual alignment. Psalm 23 is not a routine. It's a kingdom strategy on earth. Start today by declaring this psalm with understanding. Not out of habit, but as prayer, as personal prophecy. Say it with faith, believing that every word is life, direction, and a key to open what has been shut. Write it. Meditate on it. Declare it out loud. It's your inheritance. And if this is touching your heart, remember to leave a comment sharing your prayer or declaration. We're not here to sell you a product. We're here to walk with you in faith. Together, we grow stronger. God doesn't bless inaction, but He honors active faith. So rise up today and do your part. Pray, declare, act. He will take care of the rest. And if you need support, we're here. This channel is a faith family. Every step you take brings us joy. You've made it this far because something inside you knows it's time for change. Not superficial change, but deep change. The kind that starts in your faith and reflects in your finances. God didn't bring you to this video by accident. He wants to open your eyes to principles already written in His Word. Principles that have transformed lives for generations. You are not alone. Many have lived through what you're going through now. Anxiety, debt, uncertainty, hopelessness. But everyone who walked with God came out on the other side. Not by human strength, but by divine direction. And that direction is available to you today. You just need to take the first step. That step might be to pray, to decide to organize your finances, to let go of an old habit, or to start a new one. It might be to declare Psalm 23 in faith. But more than anything, it's a decision to trust. To believe that yes, there is a way out. That yes, there is purpose. That yes, there is abundance for you. You don't have to understand everything. You just have to respond in faith. That's what David did facing giants. That's what Abraham did leaving his homeland. That's what Solomon did, asking for wisdom and receiving so much more. They weren't perfect, but they were available. And God did the impossible through their lives. Today, a new story can begin. A story where your relationship with money aligns with your faith. Where your decisions reflect your purpose. Where your income no longer slips through your fingers, but multiplies. Why? Because your mindset shifts. Because your obedience activates. Because your prayer opens the heavens. And if you're ready for more, remember, you don't need a product or a book to start. What you need is already within your reach. So here's your next step. Explore the playlists on this channel. You'll find content that will help you dive deeper into topics like finances, through the lens of the Bible, and spiritual laws from King Solomon for prosperity. They are free, they're available now, and they can help you grow step by step. Save those videos. Come back to them. And if you can, share them with someone who needs them too. And don't forget, if this video has spoken to your heart, leave a comment and share your story. Your testimony, your step of faith. Every word you write can be a seed for someone else. And if you need prayer, say it. We're here to pray with you. This is not just a channel, it's a spiritual family. Thank you for being here. May the Lord be your shepherd. May you lack nothing. And may every day ahead of you be filled with divine guidance, provision, and peace. We'll see you in the comments and in the next video. Blessings.